Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Nonsense here on the Nonsense Media Club podcast feed and on the YouTube channel. The name is Brian Chever, and we're here in video. Hello, everyone. I'm back. It's been a while, and I'll be talking about why I've been absent. And thank you so much for sticking around. Uh, so, why am I in video now? Uh, I think you may have seen in the Nonsense Media Club YouTube channel, I tried to transport some of the episodes of the podcast to video. Sadly, my old MacBook got updated out of nowhere, and now the iMovie application that I used to use to cut the videos at the intros and all that is no longer working on my old MacBook. So I cannot use that. So I was trying to use the equivalent of that in Windows, and I haven't used Windows for a while. I still use Windows, but only to the applications that I'm already aware of, like OBS and all that. It was hard to do that. So, and it was time consuming. So I left with no choice but to use OBS, and for this for some time uh move the podcast thing instead of only audio, but do it in video fully. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing this podcast. I'm gonna be uploading it to the podcast feed first on Spotify in the Beyond Nonsense with Brian Chevrolet podcast feed, and a day later to the YouTube channel. So uh, it's a plan, but yeah. So I've been away for a while, and the reason is life is overwhelming. There's so much going on in my life, so much going on since last year, and I've been trying to keep it together, but uh, it's overwhelming. So, and the thing about the problems is that they still keep adding up. They just won't stop. So it's not only just one, but two or three or four. And honestly, I've lost focus a little bit at my private workplace. I lost track of the things that I love doing. And especially on this channel, I stopped doing videos because I've just lost track of it all because everything else has been quite overwhelming. But ever since I did the Sonic Movie 3 review with Jamie and John, I wanted to do it because, number one, my late friend Adrian would have loved it. And two, because I was anticipating the trailer as well, like a big fan of Sonic that I am. And that kind of motivated me to get back into things. So, as you saw in the Nonsense Media Club YouTube channel, I uploaded a brand new review. The last review that I did was the Marvel, so it's been a minute. And I uploaded the Beetlejuice movie review, and you can see my thoughts there. And I've been missing a lot of movies. I watched a few movies ever since I stopped doing stuff for the channel altogether, but I'm slowly getting back into it. And while the whole things that have been happening around me have been challenging emotionally and mentally, thankfully, my private workplace were able to provide me with the help that I needed. So thankfully, starting next week, I'm gonna be seeking therapy. I got a session already scheduled, so I'm looking forward to that because I've been ignoring that part of me for a while, and it gets to a point that you got to admit that you need help, and I got to that point. Hopefully, this thing works out for the better, and hopefully, I'm sticking around for everything that's gonna happen in the world of movies and TV and all that good stuff. I mean, I gotta, I gotta be still kicking for Shrek 5. I mean, Shrek is one of my all-time favorites, so I have to survive till then. Anyways, guys, before we go into reviewing the movies that I've watched before coming back, I wanted to acknowledge the news of the passing of James Earl Jones, the legendary voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa from The Lion King. I was talking with a friend, talking about the Ninja Turtles movies and how I love the 80s version of them. And I was scrolling through X and Twitter, and the news popped in my head. In my, I mean, in the news feed, and I saw the image. I couldn't believe it. I went to look for a more reliable source, and sadly, it was true. He lived till 93, and I think a year or two ago, he signed with Disney to be able to. Uh, so Disney is able to use his voice work and being enhanced by AI. It was one of the uh, first of its kind of deals. So hopefully, his family is able to reap the rewards of his work. And again, it's just a sad news. Yes, he lived a long life, but doesn't mean it's not sad. So rest in peace, Lord Vader. Now let's get into it. I'm This is a brand new overlay that I'm trying in here in the OBS. So I'm gonna be using more of the Windows capture in this format. And let's talk about Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie has been making bank, a lot of bank. So what do I think about Deadpool and Wolverine? I do not recall if I ever reviewed the first two movies on the YouTube channel, and I feel like I should revisit it eventually on this podcast. But overall, I like the first movie. The second movie is quite alright, and I was never a fan of the X Men. Sure, uh, Hugh Jackman was fantastic as Wolverine, but I was never sold into the X Men. But I was very curious to see what Kevin Feige and his team would do with this film. I was very surprised that they chose uh, Levi to direct this movie, and I watched the movie. The theater was very packed. It's been uh, much more packed than the last few Marvel movies. And it shows because some of the latest Marvel movies they haven't been quite that good. I'm gonna honestly say that while it didn't meet my expectations, Deadpool and Wolverine does deliver in the violence that Deadpool is known for, the comedy, and is still essentially a good Deadpool movie. But is it a good MCU movie? And that's what the thing that I was looking forward to because I like the MCU as a concept. They are ever since they started multiverse BS, they started to get bad. Mostly because I really didn't want them to do a multiverse story, but yet they're doing it. And I wanted to see a good MCU movie. Is it a good MCU movie? I'm afraid not. But a good Deadpool movie? I think the first one is still better. But then again, people seem to love it. This movie has grossed over $1 billion already. And yeah, for me, it's a solid 3 out of 5. Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, one of the things I was scared of is them tarnishing the legacy of of the last Logan movie, which is a wonderful movie. They do manage to do something with it that is quite funny, and the NSYNC song is viral once again because of that scene. But yeah, they didn't disrespect the movie Logan and what James Mangold did with that movie. I knew they were gonna do like this is another Wolverine from another universe. So thankfully they stuck to that. Hugh Jackman was fantastic as always. I think the cast worked. Gambit is a surprise was a surprise and all that. But yeah, again, as an MCU movie, it didn't work quite well for me. But a movie nonetheless. So people enjoy it. 3 out of 5 for me. The next one that I watched was Inside Out. Inside Out 2. And I have to say, guys, I love the first Inside Out. It was a surprise to many people. But then again, this is Pixar that we're talking about. Pixar always pulled through when it comes to movies. And Inside Out was great. I mean, what Pixar manages to do is to pull the strings on adults while making it a fun experience for kids, while still touching on uh, very touchy subjects. They have managed to do that quite well. I think the last movie that I saw in theaters from Pixar was Lightyear, and while the first 20 minutes of it was good, it failed to deliver. It wasn't a standard Pixar film. So people were worried because most Pixar films, the good ones, were only being released to Disney Plus. A bad strategy for from Bob Chapek, who was thankfully thrown out from the Disney CEO position. Now Bob Iger is back. He knows the value of Pixar. He knows those movies belong in theaters. And while they re-released the last few movies that they released on Disney Plus to theaters, they didn't quite make the money they deserved to make. And Elemental, I missed, but I saw it on Disney Plus and it was fantastic. So I was hoping that the Inside Out 2 will be very successful in its run in the movie theaters, but I wasn't expecting it to be as big as it is. It's one of the highest grossing animated films of all time. And the way this movie goes above and beyond to be better than the first one, good God, I was worried about the recasting of Fear and Disgust, but I was fine with the choices that they had in the movie. But they weren't like a big part of this movie. Anxiety was the big part of this movie, and these new feelings that Riley goes through now that she's starting to grow up. And I saw this movie in a very vulnerable time in my life, and that's one scene with anxiety, just trying to hold things together. It broke me down because I know how that feels. It's very accurate to what I have been going through the last few weeks in my life. That is the perfect image of what goes through your head. That sense of hopelessness and not knowing what to do, it really just grabbed me. And the way Pixar does it, this movie just proved that the Pixar is back in business, and people just came back and came back to watch it. And God, I'm so happy that movies like this are successful. To me, Inside Out 2 may probably be the only 5 out of 5 movie this year because of how effective it is. I loved it. I cannot wait to watch it again on Disney Plus because it's a very necessary movie for today's audiences, and I hope a lot of people watch it to understand more about mental health, to understand more about people's struggles. So yeah, I love Inside Out 2, a fantastic movie, and so happy that it's getting the recognition it deserves. And I'm gonna be pulling for it on the best animated picture from the things in the Oscars next year. The other one that you might be surprised that I watch is A Quiet Day's Play Day One, and I've never watched the first one or the second movie because you guys know me. I hate horror. I do not like horror. I do not like suspense, and I've been staying away from those kind of movies forever. But since a friend pressured me to watch it, I was forced to watch it because I had no other choice. I, she had a gun pointed at me in the back throughout the entire movie, so I had to go in and watch it. Lupita Nyong'o is good in anything, so I loved her in this movie. She's fantastic, and I cannot wait to hear her in The Wild Robot. Again, you put Lupita Nyong'o on anything, no matter how bad the script is or how no matter how bad the direction is, she's gonna make it work. So I love her performance in this movie. Then Joseph Quinn, your future uh uh how a flame on guy, Johnny Storm, Joseph Quinn, who everyone knows because of Stranger Things. He's also in this movie. He was fine. He was fine. Again, these type of movies are not my cup of tea But the thing that I really like, what I really dug about this movie, and I think I would be open to explore the last two movies in this franchise, is the sound design. The way they work with the sound design in this movie, it made it a lot more creepier. It's quiet through most of the movie. When it gets loud, it gets really loud, and it uh, again, this movie works. Not my cup of tea, but it's a solid movie. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 too, because again, not my kind of movie. But I'm open to revisit this franchise. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, I think that's about it for the movies that I watched in this summer, and you know, hopefully, I'm able to watch a lot more movies now that I'm getting back into the string of things. Anyways, guys, I think that about wraps it up for this show. Thank you for your patience. This is the first in a few. I'm gonna be learning how to manage this new overlay that I'm working on for the podcast because it's a lot more easier than the clip maker that Windows has. So stay with me for a little bit. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.